Hello, it's measuring day. As I've stated previously, I have wanted a pair of NS-10s for going on 15 years now, longer than that, honestly. Since I was a teenager, I have wanted a pair of Yamaha NS-10s. And now I'm happy to say I have a pair in my studio, and I'm super pumped about it. Now, I got the speakers on reverb.com. I bought them from a shop out in LA, sent them to me. The speakers are in great shape. I ordered a power amp from Avantone, the CLA-200. I had to look at it. The CLA-200. The first one I got, unfortunately, got damaged in shipping. So I had to replace it or exchange it out. I went through Vintage King Audios where I ordered it from. They were super cool about it, totally understood, helped me switch it out for a new one. They gave me a new one free of charge. It was a total piece of cake. So now I have this awesome power amp and these awesome speakers. Everything is hooked up, everything works, it's in good shape. Now, here comes the interesting part. I have listened to NS-10s in multiple studios over the years. I have been in some really, really nice studios with NS-10s and they sound awesome. However, NS-10s do have a specific sound to them. Most of the studio monitors that are in anybody's home studio, if they're not NS-10s, anything that's powered and newer, most of the time is going to be a little bit rounder, fuller bodied, and more forgiving. The NS-10s are harsher, more mid-rangey, and they just have a very specific sound to them. Now the argument is, if you can get a song to sound good on a pair of NS-10s, it'll sound good just about anywhere. And that's one of the reasons that so many studios have them. They're really difficult to get to sound good. But that's also one of the reasons why I got a pair. I want to get better as a mix engineer. I want to get better as a sound designer. And I thought first of all, I like the way NS-10s have sounded. I have liked the way NS-10s have sounded to my ears in the past in some of the nicer studios I've been in. I have watched records I've worked on be mixed by Grammy-winning, multi-platinum selling mix engineers on NS-10s, and they sound incredible. Also, if it works for that many people who are at the top of the game, surely it can work for me too. So, I had this great pair of speakers. I have this great amp. It was designed to go with the new version of NS-10 that Chris Lord-Alge has helped design. It's basically a reissue of the old traditional speaker. So for all intents and purposes, it's made for NS-10s. I have a killer setup. Now, this comes into play. So the speakers I had before the NS-10s were a pair of Event Tune Reference 8s, I believe. And they were a lot more forgiving than these speakers. They were also a lot more full body. And the cone on those speakers, so when you're sitting between two speakers, as I am here, you can't see them both. There forms a triangle, and your head should be at one corner of the triangle, and the two speakers should be at the other two corners. Now, arguably, as a starting point for every setup, you want to have an equilateral, equidistant triangle. So the distance between the cones of the two speakers should be the same as the distance between this speaker on the right and my head and this speaker on the left and my head. Every side of the triangle should be the same, and every angle should technically be the same. When you do this with NS-10s, the cone can get a little vicious because there's so much mid-range. A lot of guys will choose to angle them either a little bit more outward or a little bit more inward to set the cone either here or here, so that it doesn't meet right at your head, because it can get a little bit overwhelming because of the bump at 2.5K. So what I'm doing today with this is I'm going to make sure that everything about this speaker setup is equidistant. I'm going to measure from the wall to the speaker on the right, from the wall to the speaker on the left. I'm going to measure every corner of the speaker from the wall in the back to that corner on each side. I'm going to measure the stands from the walls on both sides to make sure that everything is equidistant from the sides of the room, the back of the room, the center of the monitor, everything. And then from that point, I will make sure that they are angled precisely the same as well, so that I can ensure that the cone where these two speakers meet will be either right here or right here behind my head, so that when I sit to mix, to listen, I will be in the perfect spot for my room and my pair of speakers. So that is the goal. Let's get to it. Well, we're all set up. This guy came in very handy. You would think that something as small as an 1/8 of an inch here or there would not make much of a difference. And for the longest time, I totally subscribed to that. Like, throw them up, it'll be fine. Like, it ain't that big a deal. Just turn them so they're kind of facing you and they look about the same and it feels about the same and it'll be all right. And there is a fair amount of truth to that. However, the top 10% of anything lies in the details, and the people who achieve the top 1% of anything are those who are willing to put in the effort that it takes for a marginal increase, that 0.1% increase. You go to rehearsal every day, you go to practice every day for gains of 0.1% sometimes. And that is what separates those who are great from those who are good. I want to be great, so it is worth it to me to put the energy into these very, very tiny details that most people would think are insignificant and not worth paying attention to. For me, they are. I pay attention to all of the little things like this because I believe that all of those added up over time will equal out to me being great at my craft, and that's what I'm after. So now everything is absolutely equidistant from the side walls, from the back wall, from the center of the monitor. They are angled exactly the same, and the cone from these two speakers, if I sit right here, lean back, I am directly equidistant from the cones as they are from one another. If I sit up here, it hits right behind my head, which gives me the option to sit and listen like this, so the cone hits me back here, or I can sit and listen like this, so the cone hits me directly, or I can simply slide back a few inches and the cone will hit in front of me. That gives me 3 different mix positions to guess and register what's going on in my mixes, and that's huge. So yeah, this is worth my time, and this I think is going to pay off in much better music getting put out in the near future. So I hope this helps you too. If you are looking at how to address or fix your monitoring setup, this is a great place to start. Tape measure and just make sure everything's even. Start from there. You can go down the rabbit hole on gearsluts.com. Lord knows I do all the time. There are a lot of people on there who are much smarter and more informed than I am. I highly recommend it. And if you want to go super nerdy, there are all kinds of room calculators and stuff that you can get into online as well. So I hope this helps. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.